Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hearthstone Meta Hype. We've been away for a little bit, but we're back. You know, that's how we do. I'm here with Ecore. What's up, Ecore?
Nothing much. It's been a while. I had a lot of things on my mind. I think I got it all off my chest in my segment. And I'm ready to talk about your thing, because I don't know what it is. You like keeping it a secret from me.
Yeah, I always like to keep it a little bit of a secret from Ecore because you get that spontaneity. And when he thinks quick, he thinks right, and you never know what's going to come off the top of his head. So what I wanted to talk about in this segment is essentially the meta is just kind of new. It's a new Hearthstone. The control, the aggro, and the mid-range all exist. What do you think about that, Igor?
I think it's terrible.
It's a terrible...
I'm going to be honest. I think the Hearthstone meta is bad, and I don't think people are enjoying it. I'm going to be brutally honest.
So the question is, though, do you think control exists in the meta?
Oh, well, no. Which is part of the reason why I hate it. There's no control. Like, the closest thing you got to control is Warlock and Mage, but that still kills you on turn 7 or 8 with a combo.
Right. And then mid-range. Do you think mid-range exists?
Yeah, I think mid-range exists a little bit. I think that's what Paladin, Hand Buff Paladin, and Seeker Paladin are.
Right.
And it's really strong right now, but only that deck, really.
Right. So the point of what I'm trying to say is that control, mid-range, and aggro all exist in the meta. It's just that the new control ends the game on turn 8, 9, or 10, and the old control ended the game on turns 18, 19, or 20. The game has gotten a lot faster. That's aggro's faster, mid-range is faster, and control is faster. Because I've really started to think about it. Mage is a control deck. It's just with that person that commented in your comments about being control is Mage control deck. It has all the elements of being control. Even Command the Elements Shaman is somewhat control. The way they get to clear boards of white boards, that's a control deck. Handlock,
I'd say that too, yeah.
Handlock, Quest Warlock. Right? Handlock Quest is another control deck. It has all the tools and all the elements of it. It's just that the thing is there's just way too much of it. And it leads to the fact that there's other tools that defy what control really was. Control used to be big win conditions on turn 15 and 16 where you put up big minions and a finisher. But now those big threats and stuff like that come out on like turn 5, 6, 7, 10, 9, stuff like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So do you think that that control is dead, or do you think it's just a new control? One that we don't
I would not consider that control. I would not consider anything ending the game by turn 8 by comboing your opponent down as control.
But by definition,
you can say that it is, but it just isn't control to me.
But by definition,
and I'm probably getting more emotional about this than I should. But by you asking what is your definition of control, controlling the board, or my definition would just be controlling the board and playing a game of attrition. Not really having a main win condition until late game, letting your opponent run out of resources, or you're able to win the game, but later on, once you've built up so much of an advantage, that you can play a couple of big things and overwhelm your opponent. Not overwhelm your opponent turn 6. Well, they still have a lot of stuff. You're just way faster than them. Yeah. Or killing them turn 7 with a combo. Like, that is a way too fast combo deck, in my opinion.
So that's exactly my point. Your opinion is that it doesn't exist, and the game of attrition doesn't exist in what we have. It's just that there's a new form of control, a new form of mid-range, and aggro is even more aggro than it is. Everything is aggro, and everything it is. If you started Hearthstone today, playing Hearthstone today, you would say that Handlock and the Command the Elements are more of control decks than anything. You wouldn't call them mid-range. You would say they were control. If you started the game 3 years ago, you would say they're just broken and boring and the meta sucks. You understand? The problem with Hearthstone is that we have been playing the game and we're used to a certain way that the Hearthstone meta used to be. And now it's different. And this is the way it is. So they're not really Hearthstone isn't concerned with us. They're concerned with the players who are new. They want the new players to be happy. And do you think that new players would be happy? What do you think? Do you think that new players will come in and see the game and be happy? Or do you think that they'll just be equally as unhappy as we are?
I'd say they'd be equally unhappy as we are.
Interesting.
Maybe a little bit less unhappy because we've been playing for a long time, but still genuinely unhappy.
Because
I have several friends that started playing again, which I guess, would you consider returning players new players? Because they played it a while ago, but it's like a new experience, but they have played it before.
Yeah.
Or would you consider that another category of people?
It's a great question because the new players that return or players that return have that preconceived notion of what it used to be. You'd have to find out what the reason is why they left in the first place. Was it money? Was it overpowered?
Most of them money,
was it interest? What was it? Right? So if it turns out that it's money, then then their opinion is different from a person that because they just lost interest in the game and broken and this and that, right? So it really depends on what the person motivation is for returning and why they left. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't consider them new players. I think that's my answer.
That's fair.
Right?
But yeah, I was going to bring them up because a lot of them who are joining, and some of them were because they lost interest, were like, what the heck is even going on?
Yeah.
They really, and also most of my viewers are newer players learning the game, and just the Hearthstone community in general. If you look at the videos from most creators, or at least the creators that I know fairly well, like Dexter, even Regis, Rarin, me, and other people as well, like Warshak, VengaDragon. All of our numbers are down, and they've been down for a while by a large amount. And the only person that's really popping off right now is Zeddy, the one guy who makes a living complaining about Hearthstone. Which, don't get me wrong, I actually like Zeddy's content a lot, and maybe it's just because I'm really upset with the game, and it just like really resonates with me. But the only person that's receiving like tons and tons of support is him. Or they're playing Battlegrounds, which isn't even like the Hearthstone standard anymore, which I don't, I'm not including them in this list, just to be clear. They're absolutely killing it. Battlegrounds is a great game mode. I think it's really fun. It's kind of broken a little bit as well, but not as much. I'm talking specifically standard, but like other people are quitting. Other people are playing different games. They're switching to like Arena, like Dexter's playing Arena. Regis is playing duels and talking about other game modes and playing other games. Rarin's playing Battlegrounds. And like Firebat not too long ago quit to play TFT. I think that might have been a little bit before this meta came out, but like the point is Hearthstone standard is losing.
Yes.
It's losing creators, it's losing players and viewers. The Grandmasters isn't doing that well either. Just not a lot of people are watching it in particular. And obviously there are numbers that I don't know, but just based on my observations, because I watch Hearthstone creators, it's struggling, and it honestly scares me a little bit because obviously I play Hearthstone, but it's also just like, how can Blizzard like not want to drastically change this if it's doing so badly for them? Well, and yeah, you could say, oh, they want a new style of game that's faster, but clearly it's not working.
Right. I can't explain to you how many times I've received comments that are different than what I used to, even like a year ago, right? So I've been doing the content creation for the Hearthstone since the beginning of the year, and sometime like last year, I've been really getting my head into it and doing like the YouTube channel and stuff like that, right? And over just like the last month or so, I've really started to receive these comments like game is dead, broken, And I'm thinking, well, why are you even following? Like, if you don't like, why are you following then? Like, thanks for telling me, But it's like people are really all saying, oh, the game is dead anyway. And that's becoming more and more prominent, I think, on a lot of the, even like we mentioned, Rarin, Warshak, you mentioned Zeddy, even you mentioned, Dexter, these guys, Regis, and yours. I've even seen comments on your channel, like where you're like, people are like,
the game is dead.
The game is dead. Why do you even play that?
Super negative.
It's like negative. And it's not the creator's job, honestly, like us, our job to be like saying, your early game is good and promote it and like lie and stuff like that. We're well within our rights to report as we see it, and that's what we should do. I just think that it's the developers are just interesting because why did they do these things? Why did they make some of these cards? Like it's just like the way that the game is, you can see some of the cards are really just not great. They're just bad design. I mean, we spoke about a couple of cards that
They
needed
thought
to
it
be.
was a creative idea. I don't blame them for this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't blame them for part of it. I don't blame it for existing in the first place. I blame them for not fixing it faster.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I mean, evidently, if you say bad things about the designers of Hearthstone, you get swore at on social media and stuff like that, and
True.
and stuff. So there's, and I don't really care what they think about me. I don't really care, and I don't. I I like them. They're all great people. We'll go out and have a beer together or whatnot. But as far as what they think about my opinion of what the game is that they design, I really don't care, to be honest with you. I'm going to say it like I see it. I think that some of the cards that were put into the game were based on just thrill, like wow, like pulling this off is just absolutely amazing. You play 10 games and then it's fun 10 times, but you never really thought about the other side of the equation of the fact of what Hearthstone people liked about it was sort of the chess aspect, being able to play, put your pieces down and kind of set up boards and set up combos and stuff like that. The combos are just kind of way too easy to pull off. And
Yeah.
like you said,
Takes the thrill out of completing combos.
yeah, like we've had a situation is like it's kind of cool, like for, even though it was a problem, like Malagos Druid back in the day, like was a hard combo that you had to create, and it was
it was more difficult than what this is. Like
yeah.
it wasn't as linear. You had to draw a ton of cards, get a couple of specific cards, like a combo should be.
Right.
Not just, oh, the card I need, I start with in my opening hand every game, so I will never not have my combo.
And it
like
was,
Anacondra Druid, as much as it annoys me, and Celestial Alignment, there are times when you don't draw Anacondra or Celestial Alignment, and even though it pisses me off because I don't like Celestial Alignment as a card, at least it's not guaranteed every single time.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's what happens with the quest. The quest lines are just in a place where it guarantees that you have some kind of combo deck that your opponent can't really interact with. And I think that's the part that I have the most problem with Hearthstone right now. Overall, I think there's some pretty cool mechanics and things, but I just think the quest lines are one of the biggest problems for this game. Is they're just kind of they're just make the game too linear, like you said. It's just like you know what's coming, and it's sort of, I don't know. There's a lot of suck factors, I would say. If anybody who watches my stream, they would say, "Wow, oh, here goes Venga again with his suck factor cards." Like there's just cards that just have suck factor, and they suck for your opponent, and sometimes they're just boring to play yourself. It just gets kind of weird. I don't know. I just think that there's more of an aspect in Hearthstone right now of this thrilling overall. Oh my, pushing, like, to use a poker analysis, there used to be a time in poker where pushing all in and just going all in and chanting and jumping around and screaming that you were all in was like the most exciting thing for Hearthstone, and for poker, and it got old really quickly. Like the highlight reels were just people pumping their fists that they were all in, and then people would stand around and watch the cards flipped out, and it was like awesome, right? What happened is that wore off, and then the game sort of went more to this like cerebral type of thing, which is like different. To use the poker analysis, there's like optimal playing positions. There's IPC, like different things about chip stacks, like all these different methods that people use nowadays in poker that aren't necessarily exciting, but they're just fun to a certain group of people. And I think that's what the problem is. I think that Hearthstone misunderstands who their exact audience is, who they're appealing to. And they're certainly not appealing to the veteran player. I think they're appealing more to the new player. What are your thoughts on that?
That may be true. I mean, I don't know. I think that they could be trying to appeal to new players. I just don't think they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. I think that...
And the amount of messages I've received, like on comments or... and I know you said they aren't going for veteran players, but the amount of comments I've received on Twitch and YouTube that are literally like, I've played this game for years and I finally had enough and I'm quitting, has been more in these last 2 months than I think I've had over the entire course of me making content on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I agree.
Is it really worth getting a few more new people to lose so many veterans and having other people like start dabbling with other games or other game modes, which could lead to some of your biggest creators leaving, like Firebat, for example? That's the most recent one that I know of. And again, other people playing different game modes, like Roran's playing Battlegrounds a bit. I might start playing Battlegrounds a bit because it's been really fun with friends, and just, you know, stuff like that. I don't know. Is it... Because, yes, I do think that they are trying to appeal to a newer audience and try to get them all hyped up for really, really cool things. But I also feel like the novelty of that will wear off fast and honestly might have already worn off, which is why people are getting sick and tired of it. Like, I remember the first week, I was actually enjoying this a little bit because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Or maybe not the first week, but the first, like, 3 days when everything was new and fresh and there were some cool combos. I was like, this is fun. And I could see how new players would like this. But it also got old really fast, dying on turn 7 over and over and over again, and never even really getting to see what it's like to get to 10 mana, you know? And I feel like that would be annoying for new players. Like, there are probably some new players who have played for 2 months that have never seen the 10 mana crystal thing pop up. Like, can it even go up to 10? Does it stop at 9? What goes on? Like, you never know.
When I stream, I'm going to start sitting over on the right side of the screen and cover up the mana crystal thing because it obviously doesn't matter anymore. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters a little bit.
But I totally see what you're saying. I mean, there is an element of like who's feeding them the information, whether you get like the cheers from the newbies who they're watching or us salty old guys that are on here and going over that we're complaining about the meta. Like I said, none of us have this obligation to Hearthstone and saying that we have to be the ones that like make the game great. That's not on us to do it. Like, it's on Hearthstone itself to make the game great for as many people as they can. Overall, whether or not it's great for the veterans, I don't really know. There's some veterans seem to like it. Some veterans will still get to Legend, and some will still compete in the Hearthstone Grandmasters. You know, they do all kinds of things, and so I really don't know what the state of the game is. I just think that what it used to be and what it is today are completely different. Not necessarily as a negative, just as the game has gotten faster, and that's kind of the state of the way that life is in general. Everything is bigger, better, faster, and cheaper. But has Hearthstone gotten cheaper? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's got a little bit cheaper potentially. Really? I mean, maybe not with the new game mode Mercenaries coming out.
Oh no, don't get me started. No, don't get me started.
Yeah, we could talk about that in our next segment. We could just go off about how silly it is. Hopefully they come out with more information. But I actually do think it's a little bit cheaper now. Yeah. I think the battle pass is. My friends were talking about it. Like I said earlier, when my friends coming back to the game and the main problem being money, they were like in awe as to how much we were getting from the battle pass, the quest. True. Because we just were playing some Battlegrounds and a few games of Standard to like unlock some stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, as a returning player, they were like, I just went to 50 levels in like 4 days. We just got thousands of gold. Yeah. Like, it really helps casual players, and even if they don't come back like full force, they have a little bit of gold to play around with now, which is honestly pretty nice for them. I think that as a whole, like, the total cost hasn't changed, but you can get a little bit more gold a little bit faster now, which makes it feel a little bit cheaper for newer players, at least as far as from what I've heard from my friends. Obviously, I'm a whale, I spend money on this game, but from what I've heard from them and just experience with the quest, it does feel like you get a lot really fast, and then it like tapers off a little bit after a while, but
Now, here's the thing.
I do think it's a little bit cheaper.
Here's the thing. We're going to get on out of here, but you guys stick around for what I'm about to say right here. This is just kind of just, then we're going to take it out. But you got to hear this. And Ecore, this is the truth, right? You've been to a casino, right? You got into a casino
A couple of times,
and you've heard the slot
Why?
and you've heard the slot machines, right?
Yeah.
When the person wins $1, the slot machine rings, ding, right? It's 3 clicks, right? The lights go off and everything like that. When the person wins $5, it's the same kind of click. But when they win $100, it's now blasting and blowing and going crazy and all kinds of like nonsense and stuff like that. Do you realize that even when the person loses, the machine still clicks 3 times or 5 times? It's what I'm saying is the perception of what the wins and loses and stuff that is in the game of where you are getting more from the value of quests is all a facade. It's the slot machine blinging and bleeping and blapping.
We're all still losing. Is that what you're saying?
You're still not getting as much, or you're getting the same. It's just the perception. That's what I'm saying. So having said that, I want to leave it right there. And I want everybody to comment below on what you think of Hearthstone and its battle rewards and all the things. Leave your comments below and let us know what you want to talk about next week. And in the meantime, as I always say, stay hype, and we'll see you next week.